Are you one of those people who are confused on which country to study in? Do I study in the US or in the UK? US, UK, US, UK. Oh, I've got you today. Today I'm going to be comparing studying in the UK with studying in the US. What are the advantages? We're going to be covering duration, cost, healthcare. Can you stay afterwards? Do you know how long can you stay after your studies? How long can you take to get citizenship? If you're interested in these topics, please watch till the end. Hello everyone, my name is Cynthia. I share information that will help your transition into the UK to be as smooth as possible. But because I love you so much, I've decided to cover some aspects of US because it's very important that you maximize your potential and know what is out there for you. So let's get into this video. The first thing is duration of studies. Usually in the US, the average master's degree program lasts for 2 years. You would see some master's degree programs that last for a year, but it's not always common. So you just have that in mind. However, the other side, UK, the average master's degree program for the UK is 1 year. And the thing is that there are also master's degree programs that last for 18 months or 24 months, but they are not common. So now you have an idea about the duration. Let's go into the costs of the master's degree program. In the US, it's more expensive, like an average of $30,000. But in the UK, the average master's could be $20,000 or thereabout, or $25,000. But remember, in the US, this is what you have to pay every year. But in the UK, you just pay for 1 year if you're going for a 1 year program. So this is something you need to consider. Now, the next thing we're going to check is the chances of getting your student visa approved. Starting with US, I've seen a lot of rejections, even when someone has gotten their admission approved by the university. So you have an admission letter to prove you submit your application and it's been denied. On the other hand, from my experience from my home country, I've observed, like I said, this is just my opinion and my observation. I've observed that most people who apply for a UK master's degree program, as long as you provide all the documentations involved, you will get that visa. You will get your visa approved. I'm not saying that people don't get approvals, but I'm just saying when you compare it with the UK, the chances of you getting a visa after you've gotten an admission, especially if you follow all the procedures stated on the government website, is higher with the UK. It means with the US, there are chances that it might be denied. So you have to do your best to make sure you meet all the financial responsibility and family ties to show that you're coming back after you complete your program. So that's something to bear in mind. The next thing we're going to talk about is the application fee for an admission in the university. When it comes to the US, there are a lot of universities requiring an application fee. So before you submit your application and they give you an admission, you have to pay a certain amount. And remember, there are chances that they won't give you that admission. So it's something you have to consider. How much can you spend in order to get that admission? When they're asking for $100 or $80 or $60, when you convert it to your home currency, how much is that? What are the chances that you get an admission after paying for that application fee? There are some universities that give fee waivers. I'll list them here so that you can explore this option too. But when it comes to the UK, generally, most universities don't require to pay any amount of money so that you can submit your application for school. This is something you have to weigh and compare and consider based on your pockets. Another thing I would want us to consider is the number of universities in the UK versus the US. In the US, there are over 4,000 universities. So it means that you have more opportunities of applying to as many universities as possible. Imagine in a place like Texas, it has 400 universities. Oh my goodness. If you are trying to pursue a PhD or a master's, you have many options or opportunities to apply to as many universities as you can. But in the UK, there are 160 universities. They're not up to 200. It means that, yeah, The options might be limited, but the chances of getting into the UK university is still high. So this is something you need to explore. Remember, the landmass of the United States of America is bigger and larger than that of the UK. UK is an island. So let's talk about healthcare. Healthcare. Now, healthcare in the US is very expensive, and sometimes some universities will not cover your insurance as a student. So it's something you have to explore. Find out whether the university would cover your insurance before you go into the US for your studies. In the UK, the cost of healthcare is quite low. You have to pay an upfront fee, which is called the IHS fee, which is immigration health surcharge. This immigration health surcharge is paid before you submit your visa application. So this is something you need to compare and consider. Another question you have to consider as a student: are you allowed to work while studying in the UK or in the US? For the US, yes. But during term, it's required that you work for 20 hours a week. But when school is over or during vacation or holiday, you can work for as long as you can. Remember, when it comes to working in the US, there are some rules and regulations you have to follow. For sometimes the first year, you're not required to work outside the campus or outside the university. Like student services, library, in the cafeteria, things like that. On the other hand, when it comes to the UK, you can only work for 20 hours a week. Is your biometric residence permit is written that you can work for maximum of 20 hours a week. Shouldn't exceed that, because if you exceed that, you have a problem afterwards. But during the time when the school is no longer in session, you can work for as long as you can. Both of them are similar. It leads me to the next question, which is a very important question. It's something you should really, really consider before you go to study in the US or in the UK. The question is, how long can you stay after graduation? In the US, international students are allowed to stay for only 60 days after they have graduated. So that is a time for you to wrap up with whatever you're doing in the US. However, if you have an F1 student visa, you are allowed to apply for an OPT, which is the optional practical training. You can submit this application before or after you must have graduated. And this gives you an opportunity to stay and work in the US for 12 months. If you are in the area which is STEM related, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, you can apply for a 24 months extension. So in addition to your OPT training period, you can have an extra 24 months, which makes it a total of 36 months to extend your stay in the US after you must have completed your studies. So this is how the US works. But on the other hand, when it comes to the UK, it's different. In the UK, when you must have completed your studies and your student visa has not expired, you can extend your stay by applying for a post-study work visa. This post-study work visa is also known as a graduate visa, which is issued for 2 years. Now, during that period, you can apply for sponsorship to extend your stay in the UK. And that leads me to this very important aspect that you really need to compare. If one of your dreams is to get a green card or to work and stay in the US legally, or work and stay in the UK legally, how can you get citizenship or get a permanent residence or get some form of visa that can extend your stay in the US or in the UK? In the US, you can apply for a H-1B visa. This visa would extend your stay for 3 years and then for another 3 years if you extend it. So a total of 6 years, but you cannot extend for more than 6 years. This gives you an opportunity to work and stay in the US. If you want to get a green card, which is the ultimate goal of so many people when they go to the US, there are different ways of getting a green card. One of them is the employment-based green card. This type of employment-based green card application is done by the company that wants to employ you. When they do this, they allow you to stay and work in the US. And that is one step ahead towards getting your permanent residence. You can get that employment-based visa sponsorship after you must have graduated. So you must not do an OPT or get to the stage of using the H-1B visa before you get the green card. It's really hard to get that, Many people have told me that it's hard. You can't just finish your master's degree and get it. It doesn't happen to as many people as we think it should. In fact, most people have to go through the OPT and perhaps go into having the H-1B visa to get years of experience before they get a company that can sponsor them on that particular visa. On the other hand, when it comes to the UK, an equivalent of the employment-based green card is somehow like a skilled worker visa. Maybe not really, but you know what I mean. With the skilled worker visa, you get a certificate of sponsorship from a company that will sponsor you, and there you can apply for a skilled worker visa. This skilled worker visa would allow you to stay and work in the UK for as long as 5 years. After that 5 years, you can now apply for an indefinite leave to remain. A year later, you can then apply for citizenship. So that's how the UK works. So it leads me to the other option. Is there any other visa option, which is a non-employment based green card option for both the UK and the US? Yes, there's another option. For the US, there are different methods at which they can achieve their permit to stay in the US. The first one is seeking for asylum. Read about it. Next one is through marriage. The next option is through military. And the last option is when an immediate family member sponsors you, especially if the person is a citizen and has a legitimate business and is willing to vouch for you. So a family member can actually sponsor you to stay back in the US, and you get that non-employment based green card. For the UK, the first one is asylum and marriage. So there are not many options like that, like joining the military. I'm not so sure whether that option is there, but it's something you should explore and investigate and find out what are the options available. It leads me to the last point I'm going to discuss here. I've always told people that they should choose a master's course that will increase their chances of being employed or getting sponsorship to stay back in the US or in the UK. Therefore, what I did is I researched the top industries that issue a green card or issue a COS, which is Certificate of Sponsorship, in the US versus the UK. So let's go. Let's do this. In the US, I'm going to read it here. The top green card sponsorship title jobs include software engineer, software developer, software development engineer, senior software engineer, assistant professor, landscape laborer, software development engineer, truck driver, technical lead. So there are a lot of IT related titles in this. So it says the top green card sponsors are custom computer programming services, compute systems design services, electronic shopping and mail order houses, software publishers, colleges, universities, and professional schools. In the UK, I was able to research the largest sectors for COS used in 2022 for long-term sponsored work visas. So the first one is human health and social work activities. You're aware of doctors, nurses, carers, support workers. There are higher chances of you getting a COS in this area. That's what it means. The next one is information and communication. Remember, I've always told people that if you're coming here to pursue a master's, it's always good to have IT skills. This can increase your chances of being employed in the UK after you must have completed your master's or PhD. Then the next one is professional, scientific, and technical activities. It's not surprising to see this. The next one is financial and insurance activities. And the last one is manufacturing. The gaps between them are very large. The human health and social work activities is 45%, while information and communication is 13%. Then the professional, scientific, and technical activities is 11%, while financial and insurance activities is 7%, then manufacturing is 5%. So before you pursue a master's degree in any country, the first thing you need to do is your SWOT analysis. You also need to do your return on investment. You need to sit down, do your calculations, both tuition, living expenses, what are the chances of you being employed afterwards, what you're going to do to survive while being in that country, which extra skills can you bring with you, what companies can employ you, and what are their requirements. You need to sit down and do all those calculations so that you don't fall short and you don't get deported or have to go back to your home country if that is not your dream at that moment. I really wish you the best. Please remember to subscribe, like, share with your friends. Join our community. Cynthia Academy is a very joyful and happy community. We share information. We want you to grow. We want you to succeed. We want you to excel in life. And I'll see you in my next one. I hope you enjoyed today's one. Bye-bye.